I make the world graphical.
I add value through my products.
I am an animator.
I am a filmmaker. I develop trends.
I transform designs to reality.
I create environments.
I translate stories to furniture.
I design experiences. I'm an immersive media designer.
I design mobility.
This is not only a design institute.
This is a design lab.
Join us in our design movement.
I think you have already tagged so many words along with my name. Professor, designer. It has been a long journey of 10 years. I would say if I have to just define myself in a word, which I still try to live with, I would mention it as enthusiast. Whatever I have been doing, be it my 10 years of my professional experience with Raymond, or an year with academics, it has been exciting, and each and every day I keep on unlearning and learning. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start anything, I would just request each one of you to make this presentation equally engaging. Try to put a lot of questions. I think I would love to hear out from you any sort of queries, questions related to the title we are working around today, which is Find Your Style. So I want you to get connected with the title and put any random question, whatever it is in your head. And yeah, please share it while we are in the middle of presentation. I will definitely answer. I'll try to answer each one of you in the course of discussion. So moving ahead, I would like to probably start the discussion listing out the issues, or maybe hearing out the issues which you feel while you start anything creative. So when you have a sheet of paper, a pencil in your hand, I would look forward to listen to what are the challenges or what are the issues you face while you start. So I think the maximum of the problem begins when you start, and I wanted to hear out from you maybe a couple of it. What are your issues? Probably I will also share my issues, what I have been facing. A couple of them would sound funny, but trust me, I want to be as organic as I think as I am. The first and foremost thing is I have a fear with the white sheet of paper. So when it is in front of me, probably, or if I buy a very good sketchbook, trust me, I get a lot of fear that how do I start? This is the sketchbook. I want each and every page to sound extremely amazing. Each and every piece of work should eventually end up happening superb. So these are something which I definitely keep on thinking when I have my maybe new sketchbook, or maybe moving forward, I would say a couple of issues like how do I plan the entire work? Where do I start from? What could be possible topics I should start to get along, to get comfortable with the hand-eye coordination, which is one of the essential factors to build upon the expression or build upon expressing your idea. So it all starts from your sketchbook and pencil. Okay, I have some response. The fear of piece not turning out good as I imagined it. Guys, I think see, we are humans, and the moment I see these questions, I feel that yeah, I think we are pretty much the same. Trust me, don't consider my 10 years separating you from me. To be very honest, probably I have certain habits. I'll talk about it at the very end. So if a work is of a 1 hour, I definitely end up screwing it in the last 15 minutes. So the last 15 minutes are very crucial for me. So not wanting to draw something generic like landscape we see on Instagram, anything is too common, basically originality. I think, yes, we are here to discuss and to think, conceptualize, work up on bringing your individuality. But you know, the thing is, since there is this internet, we are exposed to so many artists, so many people in and around. We see each and every work. I think the moment there is some viral thing on Instagram related to brands like Jacquemus or Art Select, I think these are the pages you would have been following it. The moment you see something, it gets on viral and everybody sees it. And I would not deny, the more you see, you need to it's upon us how much we take in and how much we keep a control over to keep mixing these ideas or looking at these ideas. I wouldn't say mixing these ideas, but keep looking at what's happening, and in the process how to evolve our own style, not wanting to draw something. One of the problem I face, where to start and how to plan the sketch. You have to plan the image is going to end. Okay, yeah. So the composition thing, I think that's something we will discuss today. So where to start from, what mediums should I choose? There are plenty of issues. So I said the most funny one for me is not to screw my sketchbook, because sometimes I buy some super awesome sketchbooks, being fascinated with stationery and stuff, but the fear, start kaise karna hai, kahan se karna hai, how do I plan, what medium? So all of that, I think these are something which I try to mention. Okay, yeah, I had another pointer, like would it be worthy trying, or it's okay, let it be. Kabhi hoga, kabhi college join karenge, and then we will start. I think I'll to start off with the presentation. I would say, you know what, it's coming from, it's my personal experience. I do have a fine arts background. I would not deny it helped me getting into fashion college. But before this presentation, I was working on thinking, what do I narrow it down to within 2.5 hours of session, which helps you, or 2 hours of session, I'm sorry, which could help you. And I went across, looked at many works in and around various artists, be art on the websites like Behance, Artthread, Instagram. These are the places where you get to see works of different artists. I went through certain webinars also to understand what are their thought processes, how do they conceptualize, what is their unique way. I must say that the idea is for me it's a problem, because I come from a fine arts background. I have to unlearn and learn. But I think there are some couple of artists who just have the beauty of developing their own style right from day one. So it's nothing that they built up learning from someone. They learned it by themselves without even going to any of the art colleges or design colleges. I would love to mention a couple of artists. I think I will, as I progress, I'll try to list down a couple of artists who I follow, who I look up to for their originality of their work. I would like to show a couple of books which I personally always look at. This is, I think, in today's scenario, we all know who's Van Gogh and what was his peculiar style, what kind of brushstrokes did he had in his work. So I like this book because of so many things which makes it unique. In the process, I would just highlight, it's not one thing which makes a work unique. Sometimes it's the mix of the medium, sometimes it's the kind of stroke you have, probably sometimes it's the way you keep your sketchbook. So I will also come up with certain examples which I'll show how people work from end to end, and that process is unique, which help them produce some excellent works. So I like this book, preferably for the era where he worked in and developed this style. So today it might sound a very average, maybe, but imagine a time when there was no such references to look at, and somebody developed his own style, right from the kind of color usage to the kind of brush strokes. So it's an amalgamation. I really like this work, and I believe that each one of you start looking at the work to a next level. So it shouldn't be that every time you see a work and you say it's very common, or it's very obvious, normal, ho sakta hai, nahi ho sakta hai. The very basic practice which I personally developed over the period of time working on these subjects was to look beyond. So if I look at a tree, I start looking further. How's the light and shadow? What is the mix of colors? But when I talk about my style, probably that's where the challenges starts happening. So that's when the couple of questions which eventually carries on along with these questions are, मैं इसमें क्या twist करूं, add करूं, so that it becomes mine. And I think this is the role of designer. This is the role of artist, or anyone who craves for originality or craves for authenticity. You look at nature, you inspire from nature. What will you add? You look at, when you are a designer, you look at a lot of research work and you analyze, what do I add to own this? Because almost everything is done. It's the mix in your own unique way, which makes it your style. And as I said, it's gonna be an everlasting process. You will keep working because it's very personal, right? When it comes to my style. So I am sure many of you would have been sketching, doodling, looking at people's work and trying to just recreating it. There is no harm, but in the whole process, did you ever question that what do I add? That two element which makes this work different from what it is. And I think that's the very first exercise where we start observing work, start looking at everything in and around, and think, okay, what difference can I make to own this? I get it. You will all be thinking that the problem is with starting. How good am I? How bad am I with my lines? I know. So, पता नहीं कैसे होगा, अच्छा होगा, बुरा होगा, मेरे lines के quality खराब है, or maybe people do so much of a hyper realistic sketching. I am not good. So I just want to stress, there is nothing like hyper realistic sketches or hyper realistic drawings are cool, are perfect, are good. I'll introduce you to a couple of works from the artist I like. You would be amazed with the kind of taste they have developed over the period of time working on their style, keep developing, adding some elements and making it unique. If I show you, would be like, come on, is this good? Is this bad? How many followers does she has or he has? What's the profession? And eventually, the most important, what was the process? How did he or she arrived to that level wherein they are producing such good works? I think so. Moving ahead with the presentation, I am sure you'd be having some or the other sketchbook in your hand, or some or the other magazine in your hand. Start flipping the pages and start looking at each and every work which is there, and try to identify, try to explain what makes you like that or what makes you not like that. So I think critiquing is important. This is the process which helps you to develop and the behavior of understanding and absorbing a content. So if that is not there, probably you will be already out. I think that I would, if I have to place the process number one, I would always say start critiquing a work. You should know why you like a work and you should know why you don't. So So as I said, when I talk about Van Gogh, let me just flip on to the best work, which, or any work I would say. So let's look at this work. I really like the monochromatic nature of the painting. There is nothing bold. It's so serene, it's so calm. I could feel that there is not too much of drama happening. I like paintings which has drama as well, but yeah, the beauty about this painting is the kind of brushstroke, the two colors using next to next and producing the third color. I think this is what makes this painting unique. It has got a good amount of depth. So I could see the hills at the very end, and I could see small details. It's not very hazy, yet it has that kind of a language of being little mystic or hazy, not very clear. So the balance is what makes it really cool. The shadows of the fences. So when I look at this, I start talking to the painting. I say why I like it, why I don't like it. And this is very important for you to start getting into the first step towards developing your own style. So yeah, let's move to the slide. So yeah, I think I have already got a list of questions saying start kahan se karna hai. Where do I start from? Left, right, corner, center. Planning करना होता है या नहीं करना होता है, color decide करना होता है या नहीं होता है, palette कैसे decide करें. So all of these questions do come, they are very natural. So okay. Okay, as I said, the first question, be a critique. Look at work, start talking about इसमें ये अच्छा है, इसमें ये बुरा है, and try to develop a kind of I would say vocabulary in the process. Be conscious, don't randomly say ये गंदा है, but reason out with logical reasons, maybe with elements which you can connect with. I think in today's scenario, we all know what is harmony or what is balance. So own this word, use these words, try to gain technical insight, look at stuff, hear stuff from YouTube's. There are so many people who have created their own channel out of critiquing movies. So listen to them, but don't develop the negative side. Look at the positive. Look at what are the avenues what are the lenses through which they look at our work. So if I look at these works, I have placed these works only to talk about the second element of the entirety, as in of any artwork, which is the texture. So what would be the texture of your work? So what is texture? Visual texture, tactile texture. I have got a list of, I have got a good amount of colors to speak along with what I am saying, so that you get to understand and you get to feel. I think the next time when you have your sketchbook, you have a couple of different mediums in your hand, I would like you to try without having any fear. Probably just title that page learning and development, or maybe today is the learning day. So the topic itself makes you comfortable that yeah, I think it might go wrong, it might go right, but yeah, as it's titled, it's a learning day. I think that's one of the easy way to start off with. Keep a couple of different mediums, try to mix and match, because observation is most important. So when I talk about texture, probably if I feel that I gonna draw something like a farm, or maybe, okay, I have also got a couple of questions saying landscape nahi chahiye. So imagine if I have to draw maybe a design of woolen garment. So what medium do I select? It becomes very important for us to decide. So when it comes to woolen, it needs to be little raw, a lot of chunkiness in the texture, chunkiness on the surface. So would I be achieving it through a sketch pen? I think no, but probably if I think about a wax crayons, I feel, yeah, or maybe a mix of both. How do I balance? So start thinking about certain materials and try to achieve it. Think like a scientist. Keep maybe a couple of materials in front of you. Sometimes maybe put a glass next to a very I would say a glass next to a very textured material, maybe a bucket, and try to see what are the differences in their texture, how a plastic behaves next to a ceramic. So look at those things and try to work upon it, maybe in small swatches. I think that is important. So let's look at something, let's develop something. I'll try to show something as well so that it helps you. Some work from the past. So this is the work which I did it maybe a couple of weeks back for someone. So if you see the texture, I would not have achieved it through sketch pen. It has a mix of a dry pastel, it has a mix of wax crayons. So getting into the detail is important. You cannot look at a work from surface, or you cannot observe from a surface and imagine yourself to create your own style. So when I say create your own style, it's the most serious stuff we are discussing today. So when it is all about it, probably you need to go to maybe a second layer of thinking process or a third layer of thinking process. It doesn't stop just looking at a work or critiquing a work. You need to go to a next level. So having that said, I've just tried to share a couple of works which are very different for different reasons. Now I wanted to just discuss a few of them, help you also trigger how I think when I look at a work, and what helped me put maybe 7-8 different works on a slide. What are the differences in them? So if you look at the first work, they are, it's a landscape, highly textured, flora, fauna kind of a stuff. It's a landscape. But if you look at the very right top corner, these are also landscape. But look at the differences between A and B. A lot of textures involved in the right side. A lot of pattern is kind of engaging with the normal shapes which are there, which we see it out in nature. So a mix of pattern onto a very regular stuff, that is a style. If you look at the bottom, the mountain image, look, even these have got a lot of patterns in it. Generally we don't see such patterns, but if you look at it closely, it's different because of the way the creator or the designer, maybe he has an interest or inclination toward pattern. So that's how he see things. That's how he kind of creates light and shadow, engages with light and shadow with the patterns he uses for each and every artwork. So that was something I thought I'll show you. And yeah, I think this will give a lot of boost to all of you. I feel at least it gave me a boost some long back ago when I came across this work of Sarah. You can definitely find her works on Instagram. So look at the human figures. Are they really very perfect? Are they really how they should be? No, right? You can see the elongated limbs on the extreme right top, or you can see probably a very wacky perspective. Nobody able to see the four legs of a table when looked at it from this angle. I'm talking about the image on the left. So these wacky perspective, even if they are not proper, but it's her style. So when we talk about style, it is not a very idealized thing that if I try, if I say I have my own style, but I do a landscape, and some of you maybe also claims to be having your own style, and if you also draw the same landscape, it would be different. It should be different, because we are talking about individual styles. And if we both try to recreate things as is, I think it eventually pushes us not to create our own style. So the hill would be extremely same how I see, how she sees, and yeah, I think that's where it will be a failure. So adding a twist, what would be that twist? So all of that is something which we will discuss. I wanted you to see these slides. I wanted to see these works from Sarah because she is an illustrator. She works for a lot of magazines like New Yorker, and I must say she has no degree or no previous experiences from any art colleges. It's I think it's pure. She did not learn anything to learn something else. She directly got into the subject, and that is what she wanted to develop right from day one. No references, nothing. It's just developing my own style. So for example, let's look at something probably let's talk about how I developed my style. So initially when I was maybe in my first year of college, I was very sketchy. So whatever I used to draw, I used to be very sketchy. So there was a lot of lines, and by the end of the work also, it eventually had a lot of line. One of the problem, okay, artist mentioned the type into the chat of reference. I will do that. I'll do that, and at the end probably I'll share with you a couple of links. I think that will help you. And I think it is a good habit to have a good diet when you are working on your style. So when I talk about diet, it's not spinach, it's not broccoli. It's about looking at good works, when I say good works, we all tag a good work with a lot of followers. That's a cliche, but I'll say look at works, look at professionals, what are their styles. When I talk about this, the work of Sarah, they are definitely unique in its own way. And I keep on looking at things, what makes them, as I say, I speak a lot with their work, and I keep on absorbing things. In the process, what happens is I know that, okay, something looked good because a contrast was used at the back. Okay, this looks good because if I add a pattern onto a tree, maybe it will create something new, which I haven't seen. So research in these days are equally important. If I live in a cocoon and I keep on working on myself and I claim that my work is unique, I think it's not a guarantee, right? It might match up with any of the work. So if be there, be out, look at people's work, start critiquing and start absorbing what's good, what's bad. It's a very gradual process, I must say. So as I said initially, of course, there was no Wacom, there was no iPad, it was all manual. So I used to be very sketchy. So these were a style which I used to own. So this is how I used to sketch and try to draw my references, try to ideate that this is how I want, this would be some fold. And talking about my personal style, I used to generally highlight it with a little thicker lines and play with thin and thick lines. So somewhere wherever there is a fold. So this is how I used to differentiate my sketch, initial level sketch. Of course, it used to end up with a different way of coloring, but talking about this level of work where only pencil is involved, this is how I used to differentiate, being very sketchy. But now over the period of time, I'm sure you'd have noticed the very first page of the presentation. Now this is the style I'm talking about, and this is what I'm today. In the whole process, when I keep on doodling and being in a universe where I see a lot of work similar to mine, kept on making me feel what should I do to make it different. Maybe simplification was something which I looked at, that let's reduce unnecessary lines. Probably the second observation was, let's be very minimal. Enough of it. I had lived with a lot of lines on a single project, but I started subtracting elements from a piece of work. If you look at these images, these are highly geometric. So some geometric has been inspiring me. So when I looked at different architectures, that has been influencing the way I think, the way I execute, the way I conceptualize my work. So architecture was something which influenced me. So just look at the connection, how different thing in my diet helped me to deduce my style for as an illustrator. So it does help. So be out there, look at different works. As I said again, and I think I have been repeating it again and again. So I won't do that, but yeah, become a critique. Moving on to the next step. Okay, yeah. Moving on to the next slide. I just wanted to look at, I just wanted you to look at these sketches, and I want, probably in the meantime, I would love to look at responses, that what could be possible, what could be the behavior of these illustrators to arrive at such subjects. What do they do? When do they think with such an outcome, like a so hyper realistic landscape? Do they imagine and draw? Is this the process, or could this be a process to end up developing your own style? I feel definitely yes, because if you look at these works, see, at times you can also say that, okay, good work, but nothing common. I have seen such works, but look at the process these illustrators worked out in the course of time. Look at the understanding of light and shadow. Most importantly, from their day-to-day life, they did not imagine to visit some places. Probably they carry their sketchbook everywhere they move out. They have their mediums right in their bag. So whenever they get time, they start observing, they start breaking the process of what they see to probably pen down or sketch it down to their sketchbook. So we all may keep a, I think it's a primitive affair. We all had a diary at one point of time, but these guys have sketch, like they keep on capturing what they see, not via mobile, but with their sketchbook and mediums they carry. This is an essential process, I would say, to keep on sketching, to keep on drawing, be it be good, bad, but keep on drawing, and drawing with an objective, that are you able to express what you are feeling looking at the image or looking at something which is out there. So for example, okay, yeah. So for example, I was at some place, maybe beach or maybe a city out there. Probably let's look at Gujarat, where people fly a lot of kites. Punjab, where they fly a lot of kites. If I would have been sitting on any of the terraces, the only thing I would have thought of, how do I illustrate different kites? And as long as I am able to draw and feel what I have drawn, that's all for me. So if you look at, there is no detail as such, but what I felt was to draw, just express what I feel with the limited lines. And this is where it starts from. You don't need to think that I need to be a great with my lines right from day one. We all download things, and I think we all know that it doesn't start from 50. It all starts from 0. So considering those factors, I would want you to start something, observe, and it is a pattern. You will eventually develop your style in the process. There wouldn't be a day when you say that I have done A, B, and C, and this is my day. So if you look at this work, probably for me, when I talk about this piece of work wherein I have sketched some kites, this is fun. I don't want the sky to be very normal. I want the sky to play the same expression which I see. So when I start coloring, probably I would not have a very generic sky. I will have some kind of a drama which talks about the same expression. And I must say, even I am fond of patterns. So I use a lot of patterns, because I feel when it start engaging with different patterns, it becomes even more express. It has a lot more expression in it. So yeah, for example, when it was all talking about freedom, it was all talking about that lightness of nature. When it was all talking about a life, maybe I would have started playing with each and every element. So when it is a sky, you look at the nature of lines which I drew, because I feel that sky, it shouldn't be monotonous. It cannot be a very plain blue sky. So this is what I have developed over a period of time. When I looked at different images, I looked at and I felt and I got to know what is drama, what is stability, what is serene, what is calm, what lines I feel expresses drama, or what lines so kind of a serenity. So talking about the same moment, I would have started adding colors to it, because I feel it's a moment of joy when we are along with our members enjoying the sun. So probably this could have been some element I would have added to bring out a difference. Now talking about kites, definitely some outlines I would have started giving details. I must say, with what sketch pen do you use? See, these are markers, twin tip markers. These are now available. There would be a Chinese version, there would be a German version. Of course, Germany being a very top-notch stationery producers, they are pretty expensive. I would suggest don't go for the expensive ones at the beginning, but do go for different mediums. So when I talk about this sketchbook, as you can see, these are twin tip markers. This has a pointed nib at the front and a flat at the other. These are very common. You just visit some stationery shop and talk about different markers they have. There is something called permanent marker, which is this, but talk about the artist markers. These ones are Chinese, a little, I would say a little cheaper, but has kind of an 80% impact to if I really compare it with the German ones. Now talking about details, this is what I have learned over the period of time, that adding details makes as in these are some of the avenues where you start owning your style. So if I would have left it till here, there would be many people who think similar, and they will try to sir, I think they are called Ohuhu markers. I really don't know, trust me. I don't know the name, but yeah, maybe I really don't know. I just grabbed it because it gives me an impact of watercolors. When I use one over other, I could feel the layers on it. But yeah, thank you. I think you definitely help the others crack it. So yeah, I was talking about details. So the moment you start adding details, I think that is where you start owning a product, owning a sketch or owning a style, I would say. So for this particular piece, I would have started making a very elongated tails of the kite, because I feel that adds to a lot to the subject. Now talking about detail, when I say details, it certainly needs a fine liner to add. I use there are Staedtler fine liners also, which are these. I think Staedtler is one of the top quality products, and yeah, it gives a good outcome. They're not very expensive, so it eventually has the same impact. Add fine lines to give details, own details in your work. So when the moment I add details, I also try to think what should be different in it, so that it's not normal, or maybe what twist can I add to a piece of work so that it becomes mine. Already there's a background which I have worked, which is quite dramatic, yet dramatic in a good way, in a good vibe. So if I eventually come to the kites, I would keep it normal. I would leave it black and white. So these could, how much of a time did it took to sketch just this? Maybe 5 minutes of ideation, 5 minutes of thought process. If the mediums are right in front of you, eventually you will end up creating this piece of work maybe in 20 minutes. But look at the learning part. As I said, this is not something which you would like to maybe post it on your Insta. I think that's where it all starts. Sometimes Insta pushes you to sketch a lot. So yeah, this might not be an end work, but think what all did we feel, what all did we listed down while we started working on this, just a topic: kites, fun, terrace, family time, all of that. Probably let's add something more to it. So these are highlighters. I love mixing different mediums because I believe that is one of the way I differentiate and I own my style. But the thing is, in the process, you should be able to know what is the different texture which is achieved. Is the overall thing very raw, or do you want it a lot more smooth? With this kind of feeling, I was definitely demanding something very smooth. So I chose upon the mediums which doesn't give me very rustic, raw texture look. Probably I would love to add kites with different colors, different highlighters like these. So yes, it's you need to carry all little things which you will gain with, again, little things you start drawing. So if this was the topic, I definitely felt that yes, the markers and the highlighters could be a good mediums to mix and match. What did I learn more? I learned probably how the lines communicate with a viewer. So if I had to express fun, at the same time little drama, probably the zigzag lines talks about the same expression, but I wanted it to be smooth. I did not want it to be a raw or dramatic in a negative way. So I used markers, smooth lines to execute such expressions. So that is about it. Probably if it happened to be hillside, I would have also used a lot of patterns, but I think it doesn't work out here. But these are certain patterns which I keep playing with to express what is the mood of my painting. So there is nothing certain when we talk about style or when we talk about personal style. There is nothing certain. You can use whatever you want, and I think that is the challenge. how good are you at imagining that, okay, a wax crayons goes good with acrylic, or a poster goes good with maybe a black pen over it. So for example, let's draw something else, and let me show you some more examples of the possibilities of different style. So for example, see, since you guys are aspiring to be a fashion designer, that's the only reason I'm choosing human figures. Otherwise, I think the inspiration is out there. The more you look at nature, I think that is where it should start from. You will eventually end up making human figures, styling it with A plus B garment or B plus C fabric. But the beauty is in observing something which is out there, nature, I mean to say, and then taking it from there. So I'll show you both the examples. When it comes to human figures, so this is just pen which I have used. I have not tried any other medium as such. Now I start thinking about making it a little different, and it has nothing to do with how I want the sheet or how I want her to clothe. It is all about first expressing what mood I want with that piece of cloth, or piece of, as in the layering which I want her to dress in. And this is just the mood I am looking at. I am not looking at details कि उसके कपड़े में ये print होगा, यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ design होगा. Nothing of that. First, as an illustrator, we need to start learning to express the mood, and I think that is the most. That is, I've said most of the time, but yeah, sir, I think they are called aspirants, and not only that, they are mix of all design. Okay. Okay, so talking about the mood, and this is where you need to progress further from the moment I mentioned start critiquing. Look at what mood of work are you looking at. Are you getting the same feeling which an illustrator want to express? What are the different elements which helps you absorb the content in that particular fashion? So for example, if I use bright tones and I added even more onto just one side of the one side of the paper, shapes tells a lot. And I am not even making complex shapes. I am just making some shapes which associates this with maybe summer. So that is it. So yes, so first of all, we need to understand, are we able to express what we feel? So when I was doing this, of course, my concern was something of summer, something of positivity, probably after COVID, which we are all going through. So be it be something, if I imagine a life beyond COVID, these are something which I would feel. So talking about illustration, I get it. This is a fashion croquis only corresponding with the students of fashion. But let's look at a very generic illustration which talks the same language. So, okay. So if I had to if I have to talk about positivity, I would have again chosen so start working out with lines, start working out with as in just expressing through lines. Okay. So something of these graphics with sorbet tones, I think these would have been something which I imagine. Now this is a very impulsive thought. The more I keep thinking, the more I will get into it, and I'll try to add on elements so that it rightly expresses things beyond. Okay, what's your style? Again, I am highly inspired with geometrics or architecture. My style is being minimal. So for example, if I had to draw maybe for example a man, probably it would have been highly geometric. So if I have to talk about my style, it would be highly minimal. It would be very geometric, very less lines, but should be able to express what I intend to. So if I have to complete, if I really work upon this work from end to end, I will also bring the usage of colors. How would a color differentiate my work from other? So right now you would see limited lines intersecting each other, bisecting each other, not very sketchy. The moment I add colors, what colors do I add? What would be my way of mixing two colors? So probably if I have to talk more about it, I love using, it depends upon what season I am working in or what context I want to build, what expression needs to be captured with the kind of garment maybe I'm designing. All of that matters. So if I summarize all of the concern, mood is something I want to express. So if this is the garment, okay, when I make drawing or work with colors, I tend to overdo it and ruin it. how do I know when to stop, and that doing more, adding more colors and lines run it not to make it better. You know, I will not deny I had similar issues, but the thing is, you know, keep doing stuff. I would not say that if you are working on a project for 1 hour, stop when it is 45 minutes. There is nothing like that. In the process, don't get disheartened that I ruined this work because I used a lot of lines. So, let me put it like that. I think that is even important. So, Divyanshi, if you use a lot of lines, I want you to focus. Do you work it out this way, that the moment you start working on lines? So if you look at my, okay, 1 second. So if you look at my screen, I also use a lot of lines, but the concern is I use a lot of lines to identify which is that one line which I will use it as my final line. Try working out with pencil and don't use any other hard medium. So when it comes to lines, for example, if I am drawing a mug, I will definitely use a lot of lines. But the thing is, in the process of hand-eye coordination, if I'm looking at something and drawing, I'll keep thinking, where is that line which makes it as similar to what I am looking at or what I'm inspired from, and then I'm replicating. So that is very important. So for example, when I'm making this cup, if just look at the, shall I bring it closer? Okay. Just look at this work. This is a lot more sketchy, but eventually when I added these many lines, now I know which is that one line which makes it perfect. So this is the line. This is something internal. So I follow my lines, the guiding lines probably. These are guiding lines which helped me to build upon my final image. So even if there are so many lines, keep thinking and keep looking where is the thing, which is that line which makes it the shape you desire or the volume you desire to create. So all of that is there, but and yeah. So after going through the list of the lists of the must we need to do, I've just put it up on one slide. So probably the first thing you need to understand is what influences you. So when you have a sketchbook, when you have a piece of paper and a pencil, start thinking what inspires you. For me, it's definitely landscape, because the more I think, the more I look at the places where I visit, the more I want them to be captured on my sketchbook. I always carry a bunch of colors, and probably what I can instruct at the very beginning is use a small size sketchbook. Don't buy A3 or an A4. Probably buy a notebook which I have noticed that I have a similar traits in most of the illustration, and I feel that like is my style, but is it okay to stuck there, or how to explore more considering those traits? You know what, as in I work for my as in I keep working and developing my style, and it is still evolving. So be it with the quality of lines, if I have to say, if this is the thing, probably while coloring I will start exploring, and today probably every day you get some or the other new mediums to engage with, to include it in your work. So for example, let's look at a work. Let's start working on one project and see what are the nuances to build upon developing your style. How can you improve your perspective drawing? You know what, if you want to improve on your perspective drawing, Of course, there is a set of processes you need to follow. But just go back and look at this work again. Do you really think the image on the left, do they have does it, as in, does it follow all the rules of perspective? Look at the table. You know what, at the beginning, when it is all about developing your style, I believe that it's the mood which is most important. It's uh, it's that element which helps you to create that twist that is more important. So for example, let's draw something and understand the difficulties which we feel, which are generally there when we start drawing. So yeah, imagine it, some odd day you are sitting in front of sitting. Okay, let me draw what I see today. Probably you can try something at your end. Give it a try. In the meanwhile, if you can draw a couple of small objects which are out there in front of you, can you add a twist? I would love to see some project, as in some very quick doodles at the moment. I think that will help a lot to make it engaging. So probably let me try something which I see, and let me play with the perspective. So just to answer, is it really very important? So so talking about the composition, first of all, I never place my the topic at the center of the page. I always like it, place it on one side of the paper. So the center, I generally avoid placing my the subject of my work. It's either on the left side or on the right side, so that I play around building that concept on the rest of the in the rest of the space. So since I have reached a level of reached a level of work, I will start discussing about what all I felt while I started. As I said, at the very beginning, my subject is never at the center. It's maybe on one side of it. That is always, I do it intentionally because it becomes way too common to put it on the center and then divide the rest of the space, putting different elements and try to amplify the expression. So this is something which I generally do. Uh, So this is what I see, and this is what I have sketched. Now, when I start adding elements onto it, probably now I need to start thinking, what colors should I add? What should be the palette of my work? So moving on to generally, when I think about colors, I generally avoid the primary colors, which is red, blue, and yellow, lal, pila, neela. So yes, generally I avoid those colors. I try to play the colors which are between those elements. So let's probably when I imagine this, which is in front of my eyes right now, I start thinking, what all should I make? What am I feeling right now, and what kind of thoughts which are in my mind, and what I need to capture. So if I do realistic, it would be a little gloomy with the window giving me that one source of light. But then yeah, I want to add my twist. I want to add my fun to that. So probably I will start placing my colors at the very in the space next to it. Yeah. Yeah. So I think and the idea is the larger portion of the color shows the I have kept the larger section of the colors like the yellow or the corals in a way because I imagine that this would be the larger proportions which will be covered in my artwork. So having that said, so probably for me, the challenge right now, I would not say a challenge, but yeah, the concern is to add a lot of bling to the image because there's a lot of light. But in the meantime, as I said, a little bit of greenery I could see at the very end. which is very faint. I probably that's the reason I want to keep it very light at the back. But yeah, most importantly, I like adding plants. I like adding elements of nature in my work. So I like adding plants. With probably adding my elements to it, like the pattern which I want. Since it is a lot closer, probably we can have a little darker version to it. So this is something which I started planting very little elements, not getting too much into detail, but as long as it expresses what's there happening. As I said, patterns helps me as an bring uniqueness with my work. So wherever I see a space, generally I start adding patterns to it. That it adds a lot of life onto the image. These are little twists I intentionally add to make it different, to look different. And yeah, so this is me again, on which the lights are falling.
I make the world graphical.
I add value.
I keep the I kept the system at the center. So yes. Okay. So if you look at this work, where did I start from? How did I plan out my whole sheet? As I said, for the human figures, there are a lot of there are a lot of processes how you can achieve uh, a proportionate figure. So for example, if I have to say what helped me develop my understanding to human figures, where I used to keep smudging. I used to keep smudging as long as if I could see the person. And yeah, I used to do it every time. Like the moment if I was sitting in some park, I used to start doodling. As you see, this has no shape or form. It's very hazy, but yeah, in the process of what I see and how my hands are moving, what are the details I am observing. These were few methods how I developed making human figures. So when I used to achieve this level, probably then I knew I need to only so this is what it helped me. I'm There is no intention to get into detail. We are only discussing how to develop for developing some ideal figure or whatever, like we say hyper realistic painting. I think it's nothing that those are ideal, but yeah, to get onto the first or the second or the third step of creating something, we need to learn to observe. We need to learn the hand-eye coordination. In oil pastel painting, you know what, oil pastel or wax crayons, I think they are the best. They are the best form if it has to adhere a corresponding subject. So for example, if we are looking at something like a landscape where things naturally gel from A to B, it's quite possible. And I think wax crayons are wax or oil. Oil, it has certain difficulty, but when it comes to a similar nature, which is like a similar nature of color like a wax crayons, it gels seamlessly. So for example, let me complete this picture, not to add a different subject and explain the same concept. Let's color it with a wax crayons. So this is one summer evening. And let's start mixing colors. Of course, I think when it comes to wax crayons or oil pastels, try to use the lighter color first, so that you can add the darker colors later. So starting off with a lighter tone, and I said as in So when I know that, okay, I am quite done with the lighter shade, and there probably there is a need of a darker shade to add a little bit of contrast. Probably now I feel that the outline needs to be created. Of course, as I am drawing, I am consistently interacting with my work, and I feel that my subject is getting lost. So maybe at the back, immediate back, I need to add a lot of dark shade so that the subject pops out. Okay. Uh, uh, See, of course, there are certain rules. Lighter color first, darker color later. We know what are the plants, how are the plants, what are the nature of colors. Certain rules, I don't use a typical green, which you see, which would be something like this, a brighter tone. Probably I use something very, how do I say, very subtle, woody color, wooden tones. Okay. Wooden tones uh, in my work. Now, since you have asked this question, I'm again and again taking this, and there are different versions of the same answers. So when I have to start coloring it, you know what? The moment I see these colors, there is a parallel list of images I would have seen in the past. So while I was doing this, I felt that, okay, I sometimes in the past, I liked a work which had a coral used with the green. So it's all with the memory and the archive I carry along whenever I do something. So that is what that was what I applied it here. Uh, and yeah, I have been mixing colors, I have been doing stuff, and there is something called experience, wherein you know that, okay, a blue will work out with green, because you have done this, you have spoken to that piece of work, and then you concluded that yes, it is a good combination, or it is a good way to probably mix an oil paste, or mix two different mediums. So if I have to talk about this, now I start. I am just adding background to it. It has nothing to, like, I'll really not be able to complete this because the question which is asked, I think that is what I need to answer. So wax crayons, I think there is no such difficulty. You just need to understand, you just need to be very confident. And yeah, you need to add a lot of pressure because these are really sturdy. Like, you need to really add a lot of pressure, but the way it fuses, I think it does not happen in any other medium, I would say. So if I have to draw a piece of land, the way this color fuses, I think there is I think watercolor would be something wherein you enjoy mixing two colors. I think next is it's oil pastel only. You just need to earn that confidence, and yeah, it doesn't come all of a sudden. You really need to work. So the way it mixes, I think it has its own beauty. So the more you explore colors, the more you explore medium, irrespective of whatever is the result, I would request try to be experimental, I would say, so that you keep on recording the most of the like every outcome, and you keep reacting when it comes to any other work you do next. So for me, it's as in, if you say why I chose this yellow, the only answer would be somewhere in the past I have used, and I felt that they gel together, they mix with each other, and yeah. So yes, as you see, the crayons thing, which I think was asked, it's nothing that it mixes. There is a difficulty with mixing two colors. Yes, there is a sense of detail. There is an extent to which you can reach while using oil pastel. It cannot be used to show some super details. But yeah, nonetheless, it has been it's very comfortable being as in being one of those expressionist artists, visiting from A to B and just looking at a landscape, recreating. So all of that is very much possible with wax crayons. I wanted you to just look at a couple of works, so that based on that we kind of develop some practice which helps you become better and better with the outcome. So if you look at the very right image, sometimes artists, what we as an artist or we as an illustrator, sometimes we keep on working on a palette and then replicating it on the right. So what benefit do we have is we know what would be a final outcome. Even if we want to mix pattern on the left side, on the left work, as in on the work, we can keep trying, or we can have hit and trial method on the right side of the sheet to eventually produce it on the final work. I would say recreate things from your observation. Daily experiences are the best. So be it a place you are visiting, or maybe you are sitting with your family members, maybe for a gathering, an evening party. Just pull out your sketchbook. I get it, it would not be a time to sketch, but nonetheless, what I want to express is keep observing things and keep replicating it, be it good or bad. The practice will make you better and better, because you will be able to interact with your work. You will be able to. Why is it important to simplify? See, I would not say it's so yes, Sashvi, it's not that it's important to simplify, but what my belief is, if you are able to see the simplest form, you can make it complex. So you should have an eye to identify what is the simplest form. We do more and more of simpler stuff, because I think being minimal, or being playing with the least of the least element to express something, I think that is design. Otherwise, if you have all the colors or all the liberties, you will definitely produce something. So I take it like owning certain constraints around which I need to express something. So very limited with the lines, very limited with my strokes. If I'm able to express what I want to, I think that is where I strive while I am working on any project. So be it anything, the limited of the limited lines, or the limited of the limited resources, how do I play around that to produce something which eventually express what I want to. I think that's about it. That is why I keep on insisting simplify. For you, probably, I think how I would like to put this is, learn to look at the simplest form. If you can see the simplest form, probably in future you can develop making complex form. And yeah, it's not that everybody has to simplify, or simplifying is the way. It's not like that. People do hyper realistic stuff. They are not simplifying. So just look at these images. What I wanted to say is, with the limited of lines, with the limited colors, are you able to express what you see? Are you able to express what you want to express? So that is what I intend to in the beginning. The moment you get triggered in the process, you will definitely end up creating your own style. So the idea is, keep doodling. Just look at the image on the left. That's the style, with the subject, with outline, and then with the colors to create a background. That is a style. Doing daily stuff, doing daily sketches with the stuff which is in and around us, and adding our own perspective. That could be a style. So this was a small exercise. I don't know how much it works, but let's give it a try. I want you to maybe share an image, if it is possible, with some critique you have done, which was not, as in, if before this discussion you would have seen an image, and what is the difference which you find after listening to the entire presentation, or after listening, like we have been talking for more than 1.5 hours. So is there any difference in the way you see things? I would love to see some responses. In the meanwhile, just if you have any magazine wherein you see a piece of work, can you critique? Can you give your own comment to why you like that image? What is good about it? What is bad about it? Maybe with the simplest of the simple design language, like element, like harmony, lines, balance. But yeah, a couple of responses would help me understand how much of it is being passed on to you, and what is that little thing I can still fill to complete this webinar. So as we progress towards the last, maybe a couple of questions can help me conclude the presentation. So yes, you are open to ask any question, as I said, and let's conclude it in an effective way. So yes, I think, is there anything we can still discuss? And Agrima has a question. Sir, can you please tell me the names of artists referred in the slide? Sarah is one. Let me. Yes, 1 second. So I think she's a Dutch illustrator, Sarah Van. You check it on Instagram, you will get it. She is quite a popular illustrator. The moment you reach that illustrator, there is a list of illustrator who would automatically appear. But let me give you another name, sir. So I definitely look up to two of the works. Can you show the chat? So Coloro, yeah, 1 second. See these, I think in these world, when actually there is an account and it's not a person, that I can mention the handle's name. So Art Select is one. As I said, Sarah Van is one artist. For the color combinations, I look at the handles like Coloro. You can go to those pages. You will get influences for the color combinations, which you can work it out for your work. Then, yeah, I think this is it. But can you show the challenge once again? Could not read it completely. Challenge. Ashwadhi, is asking, can you show the challenge once again? Could not read it completely. I don't know what you mean. Which is more preferably digital work? Okay, cool. Is it visible? So find a picture you like, a person, place, or a thing, and set a timer for 6 minutes. Make a list to see just how many small details you can spot in the picture. For an added bonus, have a friend look at the same photo and make her own list. Then compare after 6 minutes are up. This is a small exercise. You can anytime work it out with your friend. As I said, look at a work, start critiquing in your own way. You will be amazed what he or she observed and what you observed. Similarly, the moment you start working out, looking at something, try to look at it through your lenses. Don't try to look at how things are. That's the way to develop your style. As I said, it's a process, and it's not that there would be a day when you create your style. We have looked at a couple of styles. Some where people use only pen and a flash of colors. Some where people use a very sketchy technique to create, to own that uniqueness. Sometimes people play with a lot of patterns. Probably when for this work of mine, I try to play with a very blocky patterns in and around my artwork, so that this is where I feel I create a differentiation. There was a question related to digital work. Which one is more preferable, digital or handmade sketches? I would suggest, Nidhi, that handmade works are good, better than digital ones. Though I know that with digital one, there are a lot of tools wherein you can undo, you can go back to 3 steps back to correct your mistakes. But if you ask me, if you are better with the handwork, you will be 10 times better with your digital work. How to go for digital? So Mehika is asking how to go for digital paintings or drawing. I think today there are a couple of tools wherein for people who own an iPad, they can have their works developed on Procreate. If you have Wacom or Cintiq, there are parallel tools wherein digital works can be created. Look at probably Creative Marketplace. I think those places will give you an idea of what's happening in the world. So when you say digital work, people create digital artworks. A lot of my friends literally work selling of their prints to Gucci. And trust me, when I say this, I mean it. Because yeah, it's been a trend. You produce good number of stuff digitally, but when it comes to home handmade work, look at the brands which are home brands. For example, look at Colfax, look at Designer Guild, look at the way they nurture, they cultivate the design process. I would have loved to show you videos, but you can definitely log on to YouTube or Designer Guild as the homepage. I think if you visit these particular brand homepage, you will know what design is or what observation sounds like for a serious designer. They literally sit in the middle of garden, they look at things in and around, they mix and match. Everything of every bit of that thing could have been done digitally, but handmade has its own beauty. It's like you're asking Kindle or hardbound book. Both has its own pros and cons. But yeah, if you ask me, I would prefer handmade, because if you are good at this, you will be, there is no doubt you will be, you will not be able to produce something amazing on iPad or Wacom or Cintiq. So yeah, that's about it. Any more questions? I'm still hoping to see a couple of. Yes. Can you suggest any design action which I can subscribe and read? But if you are, if like I personally follow this magazine called Wallpaper, Asterisk, you can Google. There are it's I think a monthly subscription. The good thing about this magazine is it is segregated into all the possible segments which are which behaves like a diet for any designer. So when I said a designer or a creative guy needs to be in the middle of so many things, I think this particular magazine serves it all for me, because they have a section for architecture, they have a section for arts, they tell you what's happening in and around the exhibitions which were there last week or last month, what's happening in fashion. So yes, I think you helped a lot by asking this question. Otherwise, yeah, we would have missed it out. Magazine Asterisk, you just check it out. Wallpaper Asterisk, sorry, Wallpapers Asterisk, you will go to their, you will definitely land up to their homepage. I'm still looking forward to a couple of questions. If possible, could you share a social media or a portfolio links, please? Okay. See, I think, I don't know why you're asking. I can tell you definitely, but you know, there are pros and cons to it. When we talk about portfolio, you know what what generally happens is the moment you see any single portfolio, you will end up recreating same, because it leaves a very strong impact on you. So if you ask me, you should just think about who you are, and I'm sure this would be leading to creating your own portfolio for admission and stuff. Go to artthreads.com. That is one of the website which has a good amount of portfolios, but they are very professional. I would suggest that just build upon who you are. Look at things in and around you and try to, as I said, add your own twist. Imagine I'm sitting and I feel, okay, what am I going through? And shall I sketch this? Shall I sketch this? So I start doing this. So for example, just look at the screen So I will just start doodling things, and this is what I want. Like, this is where it starts. This is not where it ends. There is no end to it. So if you ask me what's going through my mind right now, it's very, I would say, uncertainty is one thing which is there. So for uncertainty, I think probably a lot of grays is something which I will try to use. And I am not looking at any work. I am just thinking what I feel, what I feel and what my understanding of color is. And you will get better and better. Trust me, the more you try things. So if I go about it, how important. So if you go about it, I would say don't look at portfolios. You will end up recreating one and just copying one. At this time, when you have no references in your mind, try to work on your individuality. How important is individual style when it comes to designing from another consumer needs? You know what? It always matters, Ashwarya. It always matters. So style is something how I will express someone. I get it. I have been working with Raymond for almost 10 years. I have been working for a client who just wears a shirt and a trouser. But when I call myself as a designer, it's for me, it's equally important to sell myself along with the product. So, okay, I might design a shirt or a trouser which will be worn by a loyal customer or a random guy. But the process I follow, the way I express, that makes me sell myself in the design fraternity. So in my family, how do I express? How unique I am in expressing? So all of that is what makes me unique. So yeah, the product is there. A very common guy will buy. But how do I think? How do I conceptualize? How do I contemplate? The way I express? That is what makes me different. And yeah, it's always important to place yourself in a unique zone so that you are always being demanded from an industry perspective. So, ठीक है, shirt तो बनता रहेगा. How different are you? Sir, how do we keep your style intact in ever-changing world of design? See, style is something you cannot relate. Keep this screen there as it is. So, okay, Soumya. So, ever-changing world will be there, and your style will also be evolving. So both changes. I don't know, but depends. If I'm an illustrator, for me, each day different tool comes. So probably if you see these days, a lot of digital works are out there. Not these days, maybe 6 months back, world changed, COVID came, everybody went in home. A lot of home-based activity became famous. So it's a circle and you need to just go with the flow. There is nothing like a constraint that, okay, world change हो रहा है, मुझे भी change हो रहा है, मैं भी change कर रहा हूँ, कितना change कर रहा हूँ, am I changing with pace to the world? There is no strong relation, but yeah, the mood you are in, how differently can you be able to express yourself? That's important. It's okay. They're not related, I would say. Yeah, to an extent, as I mentioned the example of COVID, a lot of people moved on to drawing mandalas because a lot of mind therapy was a trend. But yeah, I think there is no strong relation that a world is changing with X space and you also need to change with X space. So yes, we are almost on the verge of closure. I would still love to answer many more questions, but then I think since we are towards the end, I would like to conclude what I wanted you to stress upon, which will help you develop your own style. So the number one was start talking with an artwork. Buy a children's book, illustration book, buy an artist illustration book, start talking to the image. Look at what you like, look at what you don't. I think these days you have got a lot of digital works also, though it won't give you the touch and feel of the artwork, but still try to relate, try to talk with the image. Number two, try to look at everyday objects and try to add your own twist to it. Laptop or tablets, Sania, I think when it comes to design, an Apple or a MacBook works, but depends, as I said, always look at your finances, your funds. Don't be unrealistic. It's okay to try on Sketchbook. It's okay. There is no need to rush. Be patient. Try to get friendly with the pen and paper or a sketchbook and a color. I think that is important. Don't rush. It's there. If you buy today, probably a MacBook and next version would be there 2 years back later. So I would suggest, okay, MacBooks are good for design, but yeah, Sketchbook is always the best. In case of any queries, please feel free to call the admission cell. The phone number is flash 9209 800 600, and probably mail it to us on the on admissions2022@mitid.edu.in. These are okay. Coming back to the list of concerns again. Number one, talk to images, critique. Also look forward to listen from your colleagues, friends. What did they observe? Just listen and talk. Number two, inspire from daily objects, add your own twist. Number three, keep drawing, keep developing the hand-eye coordination, be it any random difficult subject, just draw. I think number four would be the medium exploration. Be patient, go slow, don't rush. Everything will not come on all of a sudden. It's a gradual process. The more you do, the more you will strive. If the moment, and also, yeah, the day when you understand and analyze to differentiate a work from other, that's the day when you know what are the elements, what you need to own to create your own style. For me, it was always about being minimal. I think that is my style. That is how I place myself. Being geometric, being very minimal, little lines, subtracting from what I was long back with a very sketchy mood in my work. So that's how I moved, and I am still figuring what more can I do to make it different. Maybe paper cut, maybe some 3D adding on to it. That is something I'm looking forward to, adding life to my work. So yes, I think that's about it. It's been a good 2-hour session and a good two-way conversation also. I heard a lot of questions, good questions, which I am sure would have helped many other students in some way. So yes, that's about it.
I make the world graphical.
I add value through my products.
I am an animator.
I am a filmmaker.
I develop trends.
I transform designs to reality.
I create environments.
I translate stories to furniture.
I design experiences. I'm an immersive media designer.
I design mobility.
This is not only a design institute.
This is a design lab.